So there was the welfare warfare state, wage and price controls, and then there started to become capital flight where people were exchanging their dollars, for gold, and then he closed the gold window to stop the wealth from essentially leaving the United States.
Exactly. And up until 1971, of course, Americans couldn't own gold at that point, but foreign governments were allowed to exchange their dollars that they had for gold from the US Treasury at a fixed price of $35 an ounce. Then he raised it to $42.22 an ounce, arbitrary, completely arbitrary numbers. And then he cut that off, closed the gold window. So right now, the US dollar is an IOU nothing. I mean, it's worth something. If you go down to the Chevy dealership and buy a car, yeah, okay. But there's no guarantee as to what kind of a Chevy, how many Chevys you can buy for $1 million. Look, the US is turning into a third world country where at some point, foreigners will not want to accept dollars. And how many dollars are outside the US? The major export of the US for, about 40 years has not been computers or Boeings or wheat. Our major export has been dollars. And it's resulted in an artificially high standard of living because the dollar has become the international currency. I mean, years ago, it was true, and it's still true today, I'm sure, that there are more $100 bills floating around in Moscow alone than there were in the whole United States. I mean, that was the meme that came out. Is it true? I don't know, but it could be true. So our major export for many, many years has been dollars because people will take them. Definitely. Anybody in an African or Mideastern or almost any Asian country or any South American country, they all prefer dollars to their local worthless currency. So, of course, it's been a great scam for us. We send them dollars. They send us Mercedes and Sonys. That's a great trade in the short run. But now, and once again, nobody knows what the number is. Probably something on the order of 20 trillion. I've heard 40 trillion, but nobody knows. So this is guesswork. You take the annual balance of trade deficit, which averages $600, $800 billion, not counting illegal trade for things like cocaine and so forth, which is huge. And added up over 40 years, yeah, it's someplace between 20 and 40 trillion dollars that are floating around out there. Like I said, there are 4 other countries in the world that use dollars as their national currency, and there are at least 50 or 60 that use it as a de facto national currency. Argentina being one of them. Nobody wants to use pesos if they can get a hold of dollars.
Right.
So what's going to happen with the US currently creating trillions of new dollars every year? At some point, retail prices are going to start skyrocketing. They're going to start moving up, not just 5%, but 10%, 15% per year. Now, these people are going to want to get rid of dollars, okay? And ultimately, since somebody in Mexico might want dollars now for good reasons, but he doesn't have to take dollars. He has to take pesos. That's the law in all these countries. Right. You got to take the national currency that's printed by your national government. But there's no law that says anybody has to take dollars except for Americans in the US. So at some point, these dollars are going to start flooding back into the US. There's 20 billion, 40 billion that are outside the US. In exchange for what? Well, in exchange for everything. I mean, everything that's for sale, stock certificates, land titles, goods of all types. So we get the dollars and they get the real goods back. It's really going to impoverish the US. It's a scary thought because the whole world financial system is structured around US dollars at this point. So the US government destroys the US dollar. It's not just going to be chaos in this country, it's going to be chaos because of this country all around the world. It's scary.